Please be seated. Today, we celebrate the successful completion of Management 336. And though none of us could have anticipated a semester quite like this one, I'm proud of each and every one of you and look forward to staying in touch. As I mentioned on the first day of class, my responsibility to you extends beyond the semester, and I'm so glad it does because we really didn't get to know each other as well as I would have liked, given our transition to online instruction. Just remember though, you now have a mentor, a sounding board, an advisor, and most importantly, a friend for life. So please stay in touch. As you know, we also started each class with our leadership lessons, focusing on current events and their applicability to course concepts. And I want to conclude the course with a segment called Life Lessons, focusing on some things that I hope you guys will take with you from our time together. Number one, set goals and write them down. Earlier in the semester, we talked about goal setting theory and the power of setting specific and difficult goals. I'm sure you remember that. I hope you'll always remember the story of Coach Lou Holtz, who at the age of 28, without a job, and he and his wife expecting their third child, wrote down 107 goals that he wanted to accomplish during his lifetime. Those goals included coaching football at Notre Dame, winning the national championship, meeting the Pope, having dinner at the White House, being a guest on The Tonight Show, jumping out of an airplane, clearly all very lofty goals. In fact, some might call those dreams. But because of goal setting, he has reached 102 of those 107 goals. So set goals, write them down, and refer to them often. You'll be surprised how far you go. Number two, do one thing every day that moves you closer to those goals. Years ago, I read a story about a country singer's journey in pursuing his dreams of being a musician. I think it was Alan Jackson, who went on to have a very successful career, but I can't remember for sure. Anyway, there was one line in that story that I've always remembered. As he was leaving for Nashville, his father told him to do one thing that would help him reach his goals: work on a song, meet a fellow musician, set up a gig, just one thing a day. It's easier said than done, but over time, those one things add up. So do that one thing. Number three, if you don't already know, learn how to use chopsticks. It could save you from a potentially embarrassing business or social situation. A former MBA student from China once told me that his parents told him that the further apart you hold your chopsticks, the further from home you will go. So don't be the only person at the table stabbing the pot stickers, or worse yet, requesting a fork. Learn how to use chopsticks and you'll go far. Number four, tip the bartender for the entire night on the first round. Now this sage advice comes from my friend Mike Cummins, who used to own several bars along the Jersey Shore. Think about it. The bar is crowded and everyone is holding their hand up, some with a dollar bill or something like that, jockeying for a position to get the bartender's attention. And assuming you're not a regular, and no judgment if you are, then you, along with everyone else, is an unknown quantity. You could waste a lot of time simply fighting to get the bartender's attention instead of spending that quality time with your friends. So tip early, tip well, and I guarantee you that you'll be noticed by the bartender when you go up to get that next round. Number five, never say I'm too old for that. I still run practically every day. I regularly go out and listen to live music, and I stay current. If not for COVID, I'd be heading up to Bonnaroo in a few weeks. So do what you enjoy and keep doing it. There's no expiration date. Number six, invest in good shoes. I've had a pair of Gucci loafers that are several decades old. That's right, decades. They're timeless, classic, and well-made. In the long run, you'll end up spending more money on multiple pairs of lesser quality shoes than you will on a good pair. And people notice. Coco Chanel once famously said, "A woman with good shoes is never ugly." I would argue that applies to everyone. So invest in good shoes. Number 7, travel. A lot. St. Augustine said, "The world is a book, and those who don't travel read only one page." And I wholeheartedly agree. I know the current situation won't allow it, and my heart breaks for those of you who are planning study abroad semesters and post-graduation trips. I urge you to make sure you complete those plans when you can safely do it and the time is right. Because I honestly believe that there would be fewer conflicts in the world if more people would travel and truly experience and immerse themselves in the many different and wonderful customs and cultures this world has to offer. Number 8, and related to number 7, learn to travel with just a carry-on. It's hard to be spontaneous when you're lugging around an extra large suitcase with practically everything you own stuffed inside. Travel light, be spontaneous, and let your memories be your travel bag, and you'll be glad you did. Number 9, invest in nice stationery and write handwritten notes. Honestly, it's a lost art form. I treasure every handwritten note I receive, and I keep them in a box in my office. And I refer to them often, especially if I'm having a bad day. They mean more because it takes more effort. Amit Kumar, a marketing professor here at McCombs, did some research on the psychological effects of handwritten thank you notes. The research found that writing notes is a win-win. Not only does it make the recipient feel good, but also makes the writer feel good. A few years ago, I had a conversation with someone who had served on the search committee for a very high-level, very high-paying job here at the University of Texas. I asked him what the difference was between the selected candidate and the other finalist. His response, the selected candidate sent a thank you note. Now that sounds like a good investment. Number 10, whoever said nothing good happens after midnight is wrong. Jimmy Walker, the mayor of New York City in the Roaring '20s, and someone known to have a good time and live life to the fullest, once said that no civilized man goes to bed the same day he wakes up. And cheers to that, Jimmy. Number 11, dress up on planes. You never know who you might be sitting next to. I know people who have gotten job offers or met their future spouses on a flight. I'm not saying you have to wear a suit like I usually do, but there's a difference between being comfortable and being flat out sloppy. It will also save room in your suitcase. Remember, you're now just traveling with a carry-on. And finally, it can potentially lead to an upgrade. That's right, flight attendants have revealed that how someone is dressed is a factor when determining an upgrade. It's all about looking the part. Number 12, and this is a John Daly special for any of you fortunate enough to have Dr. Daly as a professor. He's a wonderful guy. Always say good to see you instead of nice to meet you. Why? Well, in case you've met that person before. I promise you it will save you from the embarrassing, "Oh, we've already met" response, and we all know how that feels. Number 13, prioritize your health. Many of you will soon be in demanding jobs in which working 70 to 80 hours per week is a badge of honor. That doesn't mean you have to abandon your priorities, especially your health, or you'll end up being miserable. That I promise you. Be sure to set aside time every day to take care of yourself, be it exercise, meditation, or something else. Our own Minister of Culture, Matthew McConaughey, has a personal rule to break a sweat at least once a day. And who's to argue with McConaughey? All right? All right. All right. Number 14, end on a make. My high school basketball coach had a rule. At the end of a practice, you had to end on a made shot. But the application is much broader than basketball. End on something positive, be it a made basket, a made putt, the completion of a goal, or even a satisfying conversation. Finish the day, the meeting, the conversation on something good. Okay, the guy on the screen is one of my college roommates and good friends, Jim Shore. Jim was one of the world's leading experts in social entrepreneurship and taught social enterprise at both UC Berkeley and Vanderbilt. As a sidebar, if you had told any of our college friends that we would both end up teaching at top-ranked business schools, they would have probably laughed you out of the room, and I'm so glad that social media wasn't around back then. Anyway, Jim was diagnosed with cancer in 2017 and unfortunately died in February of 2019. He was way too young to die, but what he taught me, my friends, and everyone else was how to live. In the roughly 20 months between his diagnosis and death, he lived life to the fullest. The very week he received his diagnosis, he flew to Scotland to play a few rounds of golf. He had a goal to play the 100 best courses in the world and was remarkably able to play more than 85 of those before he died, including the Old Course at St. Andrews, Augusta National, and Pebble Beach. He went bungee jumping, as you can see, in New Zealand from one of the highest platforms in the world after getting his diagnosis. He visited me during South by to take in that experience and regularly attended concerts, sporting events, and other major bucket list experiences. In short, he lived. Not long before his diagnosis, Jim climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. And at his funeral, we learned that in his final days, he would reference the words, "Puli Puli," which is the same phrase the guides used on his Kilimanjaro trek. The term in Swahili means slowly, but it's more than just a phrase to keep hikers on the appropriate pace. It also applies to life and leads to number 15. Pole pole. Slow down and be present. Savor the moment and don't rush too much. And in honor of Jim and the way he lived life, we come to number 16, which is quite simply live. Over the last few months, you've heard the phrase, "in these uncertain times," quite a bit. But when you think about it, aren't all times uncertain? Going forward, don't take anything for granted. Express joy for being alive and live every day like it could be your last. It truly is a gift. And now a special message to you seniors, the class of 2020, though I think it also applies to you in the class of 2021 and 2022. Your college experience was cut short. You all thought you had a little more time to be with friends, finish your Austin bucket list, and savor what I consider one of the best times of your life. It breaks my heart because I loved college, and that's one of the main reasons I came back. I love the energy of campus, the mission of what we do, and the community that only a college or university can provide. Now, I've heard some people suggest that the class of 2020 will always have an asterisk beside it as a result of the pandemic. And yes, by definition, an asterisk is a symbol for an omitted matter, and definitely a part of your college experience was sadly omitted. But asterisk from ancient Greek means little star. And I like that term a lot better. Think about it. A star sparkles, a star shines. A star illuminates the sky to show us the way. Here in Texas, we all know the stars are big and bright. We rate hotels, restaurants, and other experiences with stars. In grade school, if you do well on a test or assignment, you get an A, also known as a star. We honor celebrities with stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. In fact, an article in Atlantic magazine suggested we call celebrities stars because they shine larger than life above us and around us. And finally, no two stars are the same. They are all unique, as are each of you. Class of 2020, you are all stars. Go out into the world and shine bright. Lead by showing others the way. And as we say here at the University of Texas, go change the world. So finally, number 17, and just for the class of 2020, own the asterisks and be the stars I know you're going to be. I love you guys. Congratulations and hook 'em.